Excuse me, what time is it?
It's 10:30.
It's 10:30, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
By the way, my name is Tuâ. Nice to meet you.
My name is Gil. Nice to meet you too.
So your name is Gil, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Nice name.
Thanks. Your name is good too.
May I ask you some questions about your daily routine?
Yes, of course.
What time do you usually get up in the morning?
I usually get up at 4:45.
But 4:45?
Right.
And after getting up, what do you usually do after getting up?
After getting up, I usually take exercise.
Do you like taking exercise?
Yes, but not very much.
Not very much.
Right.
How often do you take exercise?
I take exercise 4 days a week.
4 days a week.
Right.
What time do you usually take exercise?
I usually take exercise at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yes.
Who do you usually take exercise with?
I usually take exercise alone.
Alone.
Right.
How long does it take? How long does it take you to take exercise?
It takes me about 20 minutes to take exercise.
About 20 minutes.
Right.
And after taking exercise, what do you usually do after taking exercise?
Well, after taking exercise, I usually do my homework.
Do the homework?
Yes.
Do you usually do the homework?
Yes, I do. I do it very often.
You do it very often?
Yes.
What time do you usually do the homework?
I usually do my homework at 5:30.
At 5:30?
Right.
How long does it take you to do the homework?
About 2 hours. It takes me about 2 hours to do my homework.
About 2 hours.
Right.
And after doing the homework, what do you usually do after doing the homework?
Well, after doing my homework, I usually have breakfast.
Have breakfast?
Right.
Do you usually have breakfast?
Yes, I do. I do it very often.
You do it very often?
Yes.
What time do you usually have breakfast?
I usually have breakfast at 7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock?
Yes.
How long? Who do you usually have breakfast with?
I usually have breakfast alone.
Alone?
Yes.
How long does it take you to have breakfast?
It takes me about 10 minutes to have breakfast.
About 10 minutes?
Yes.
And after having breakfast, what do you usually do after having breakfast?
Well, after having breakfast, I usually go out.
Go out?
Right.
Do you like going out?
Yes, I do. I like it very much.
Very much?
Right.
Do you usually going out?
Yes, I do. I do it very often.
You do it very often?
Yes.
What time do you usually going out?
I usually go out at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
Yes.
How long does it take you to go out?
It takes me about 1 hour to go out.
About 1 hour?
Yes.
And after going out, what do you usually do after going out?
Well, after going out, I usually come back home.
Come back home?
Right.
What time do you usually come back home?
I usually come back home at 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock?
Yes.
And after coming back home, what do you usually do after coming back home?
Well, after coming back home, I usually have lunch.
Have lunch?
Yes.
What time do you usually have lunch?
I usually have lunch at 12 o'clock.
At 12 o'clock?
Yes.
Who do you usually have lunch with?
I usually have lunch alone.
Alone?
Yes.
How long does it take you to have lunch?
It takes me about 10 minutes to have lunch.
About 10 minutes.
Yes.
And after having lunch, what do you usually do after having lunch?
Well, after having lunch, I usually play games.
Play games?
Yes.
Do you like playing games?
Yes, I do. I like it very much.
Very much?
Yes.
How often do you play games?
I play games every day.
Every day?
Yes.
Who do you usually play games with?
I usually play games alone.
Alone?
Yes.
What time do you usually play games?
I usually play games at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock?
Yes.
How long does it take you to play games?
It takes me 4 hours to play games.
About 4 hours?
Yes.
And after playing games, what do you usually do after playing games?
Well, after playing games, I usually have bath.
Have a bath?
Yes.
What time do you usually have a bath?
I usually have a bath at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock?
Yes.
How long does it take you to have a bath?
It takes me about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes?
It takes me about 20 minutes to have a bath.
About 20 minutes?
Yes.
And after having a bath, what do you do after having a bath?
Wow. After having a bath, I usually cook dinner.
Cook dinner?
Right.
Do you like cooking dinner?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Yes.
When do you usually, what time do you usually cook dinner?
I usually cook dinner at 6:30.
At 6:30?
Yes.
Who do you usually cook dinner with?
I usually cook dinner with my family.
With your family?
Yes.
What time do you usually no, sorry. How long does it take you to cook dinner?
It takes me about 40 minutes to cook dinner.
About 40 minutes?
Yes.
And after cooking dinner, what do you usually do after cooking dinner?
Well, after cooking dinner, I usually have dinner.
Have dinner?
Yes.
What time do you usually have dinner? What time do you usually have dinner?
I usually have dinner at 7:30.
7:30?
Yes.
Who do you usually have dinner with?
I usually have dinner with my family.
With your family?
Right.
How long does it take you to have dinner?
It takes me about 20 minutes to have dinner.
About 20 minutes?
Yes.
And after having dinner, what do you usually do after having dinner?
After having dinner, I usually check my email.
Check my email. Check your email.
Yes.
Do you usually check your email?
Yes, I do. I do it very often.
You do it very often.
Right.
What time do you usually check your email?
I usually check my email at 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock?
Yes.
How long does it take you to check your email?
It takes me about 20 minutes to check my email.
About 20 minutes?
Yes.
And after checking your email, what do you usually do after checking your email?
Well, after checking my email, I usually go to bed.
Go to bed?
Yes.
What time do you usually go to bed? What time do you usually go to bed?
I usually go to bed at 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock?
Yes.
And before going to bed, and before going to bed, what do you?
Pardon?
And before going to bed, what do you usually do before going to bed?
Well, before going to bed, I usually read books.
read books.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, see you later.
See you later, Tatar.
Ta.